I am the Time Ambassador, a survivor carved from the last cycle of humankind. What I speak now is not myth, not theory, not fear, but the echo of what already happened to us in a future your world has not reached. I address you from the falling edge of our timeline, where the sky has forgotten its color and only memory remains warm. If you are hearing my voice, then there is still a chance, the faintest opening in the fabric of fate, for your cycle to diverge from ours. Know this before all else. We were not destroyed by invaders. We were destroyed by ourselves, by blindness, by desire, by the belief that consequence only happens to other citizens. The cosmos does not hate you. It simply responds. And the response that reached us was forged by first contact, that we mishandled across centuries long before we understood the rules of the game. This is the warning. This is the wound. This is the truth you were never meant to forget. Listen carefully, for the future is speaking, and the window is almost gone. Here is first contact, the future warning. Humanity did not begin as the hunted. Humanity began as the hunter. In the near future, we discovered Earth has been reshaped. The oceans have new boundaries, and our species has carved a deep channel in the cradle of the universe. But we forgot. And one day, humanity discovers them. A civilization older than stone, for they use stone to make permanent their culture. Older than myths, for their language has a harmony with the elements themselves. Older than time, as humans define it, for they use the calendar as their greatest weapon and their greatest achievement. Their science is highly advanced, not just with light, but sound, not just with electricity, but magnetism. Humans' physics are based on matter and material. Their physics is based on elemental hypertech, both physical material and spiritual energy. Their civilization is part of a greater community that reaches far beyond the lands we know of. Far more civilizations and unknown lands exist within our living universe. Their model of reality is superior, and their technology can manipulate matter, weather, and travel. However, we all live in the same time, together. We all follow the same time and space rules. No species can break them, showing that the universe has structure and design. There are laws to time. The past is fixed and cannot be changed. It is irreversible once we all, including all other civilizations, agree on cause, effect, consequence, balance, and reward. It becomes the past. The present is cardinal, specific, and the moment we all have a say on what the world should look like. The future is mutable and never still, always swirling and moving based on our intention and actions. The future morphs into reality of our motions and emotions. Their power is unmatched because they know the rules to the game. But humanity does not see this at first. Humanity sees in 13 dimensions with first contact. Humanity perceives through desire. They perceive desire as dimension. Number 1, resources. 2, knowledge. 3, exotic physics. 4, cosmic infrastructure. 5, beautiful technology. 6, undefended access points. 7, property, spoils of war and renaissance. 8, fame and reputation. 9, opportunities of expansion. 10, cultural continuation. 11, advantage and gain. 12, domination, wealth, and power. And the 13th, personal achievements and goals. And because humans mistake restraint for weakness, they study first, recon, then encroach, then attack. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly, cycles of aggression seeded by ambition, fear, and desire to satisfy their hunger for more. The other civilization never fires the first shot. They only deflect, redirect, or retreat, studying us back and making sure we understand how easy it is for them to swat us away, until defending becomes survival, and survival becomes retaliation, and retaliation becomes war, and war becomes collapse. This is the first omission in every timeline. This is the origin wound. This is the sin that echoes backward through time. Part 1. The warning from the future. The future searches the past, not for glory, not for salvation, for survivors. The future calls them the remnant, for minds capable of evolving fast enough to avoid the catastrophe humanity created. The scan returns only 20 to 30 humans in this timeline, taken over a 10-year period, who can perceive hypertech truth. 20 to 30, across billions. The future realizes the horror. Humanity is not lost because it was conquered. Humanity is lost because it cannot perceive the threat it started. So they send one last transmission back. Awaken. Love life. Your ignorance is the first enemy. Your awareness is the first weapon. This becomes the warning. Part 2. The Antarctica Protocol, where retaliation arrives in the past. The other civilization traces the war backward through the timeline. They identify Earth's weakest point, the 66th parallel, the containment ring around our realm. Not a human border, a cosmic one. Beneath the ice is ancient infrastructure not meant for humans. A gate, a temporal anchor, a consciousness engine. The moment modern humanity crosses the boundary with awareness instead of ignorance, the civilization humanity once rubbed shoulders with finally sees us, not as we are, but as the threat we eventually become. The gates awaken. Contact begins from the covert to the overt, the first skirmish in view of the citizens of a war that, in the future, we started by exploring their lands. Part 3. The Overture of War. The opening notes of retaliation. The other civilization doesn't return with ships. They arrive with a new form of physics. Silence of wind. The calibration that you feel around you in the air. Singing ice. The measurement of your purity in voice. Time fracture. The probing of your experience and what you're bringing to the world. Glass sky. The reveal. The judgment by you and others of your actions. Pressure pulse. The test. How you handle yourself in similar situations. What have you learned to be flexible in the game? Cognitive drift. The filter. What they want you to see versus what is the truth. What do you see? Humanity calls it strangeness. The awake call it recognition. What citizens in the future call the invaders are not attacking Earth. They are synchronizing it. Because to them, Earth is the birthplace of the species that once attempted to conquer them. This is retaliation, not conquest, a pressurized response held up to human action. This is the moment the universe stops giving warnings and starts giving consequences. Part 4. The War Symphony. Retaliation across consciousness. The invading civilization plays 7 movements of war. The first, perception breach. The second, light rewriting. The third, pressure war. The fourth, time fracture. The fifth, first manifestation. The sixth, stripping of voice. The seventh, shattering of self. The claim, they do not do this for cruelty. They do it because humanity in the future gave them no choice. They cannot risk a second war. They cannot risk a second uprising. They cannot risk humanity reaching them again with aggression in its heart. So they break the species before the species can rise. They believe it is mercy. They are wrong. Part 5. The Renaissance Protocol. The counter-operation of the awake. Humanity's redemption begins in darkness. The awake, the 20 to 30, then 200, then 2000. Activate the hypertech inheritance. This is not a gift. It is the evolutionary capacity humanity always had, but never realized. The Renaissance Protocol teaches breath as shield, intention as language, coherence as armor, meaning as intensity, identity as accuracy, presence as anchor, connection as regeneration, illumination as signal, your true identity, karma as balance, novelty as responsibility. The invaders cannot penetrate this, not because it is stronger, but because it is human. This is the turning point, the real meaning of the mission, the first time the species stops falling and starts rising. Part 6. The Dawn Directive. Humanity's transformation into something new. After the Renaissance, Earth grows quiet, not defeated, not destroyed, reborn. The Dawn Directive emerges. Know thy origin. Strengthen connection. Create beauty as policy. Master the breath. Guard the memory. Ascend with destiny. This is not a victory. It is an evolution. Humanity becomes the first species to survive its own aggression and its own consequence. Humanity becomes whole. Humanity becomes capable, becomes worthy. Most importantly, humanity becomes Imagineers. The invaders observed the transformation, stunned. This was not the species they fought. This was something greater. This is something the universe has never encountered before. A species that learns the harmony from its own future, remembers its past, and promotes the game of life and love in the quest for novelty and identity. Part 7. The Continuum Era. Humanity and the other civilizations do not remain enemies. They evolve into the only thing possible after two empires have wounded each other and survived. They become each other's greatest trading partners, equals, adversaries in shadow, allies in light, partners in destiny. Our collective union moves us into the exploration age of humanity. There are far more unknown and hidden lands in the universe, and just as many civilizations. The Continuum Era is where the story turns cosmic, diplomatic, technological, and spiritual. It is where Genesis merges with hypertech and awakens a civilization worthy of universal respect by the greater community. Now, within the war warning from the future, the Time Ambassador speaks. I am the Time Ambassador, and this is a transmission from the last surviving cycle of humanity, preserved and sent across time through consciousness echo encoding and time displacement. To the citizens of this water-to-air cycle, to the sleepers who dream of progress, and to the few who can still hear truth through static, this message is not prophecy, it is a post-mortem. If you are hearing this, you stand in the age where everything might still be changed, where the horizons still bend toward choice, but not for long. So listen carefully, because what follows is the truth that destroyed us, and the truth you must face if you intend to survive what is coming. You do not fall by enemy hand, you fall by your own, not through violence, but through unawareness, self-guided ignorance, not through invasion, but through indifference, not careless, but no care, not because you lacked strength, but because you lacked meaning. Your world is not conquered because you are weak. It is taken because you are uncoordinated, fragmented, distracted, entertained, believing yourselves advanced, while your models of reality remain prehistoric, shallow, and empty. This is the first failure of your civilization, and is the one that costs you everything. You are not alone in the universe, and you are not first. In our time, contact was not a revelation, it was a reckoning. We learned too late that there are civilizations who do not share your illusions, who do not define life the way you do, and who do not value your freedom. And they do not need your consent. They operate on hyperdimensional physics that you have not even begun to imagine. To them, you are not a threat. You are raw material. The universe does not hate you. It simply does not protect you. Your only defense was harmony, and you never developed it. Your science is proud. Your religions are loud. Your philosophies are comfortable, but none of them prepare you for entities that build technology from consciousness, bend probability as a craft, and treat linear time the way you treat clay. We lost because we were fighting with sticks against civilizations wielding storms. The hypertech model we send you, the one few of you can hear, was your only chance, not because it gives you weapons, but because it gives you awareness. Only awareness separates a species from being swallowed by forces it cannot perceive. This is why so few understand it. This is why you ignore the one thing that can save you. Ignorance is not your default, it is your addiction. The future scanned the past for survivors. We searched backwards through the timeline for minds capable of perceiving higher order reality. We found almost none. The signals were sparse, faint, thin. In your era, only 20 to 30 minds responded to the frequency. 20 to 30 out of billions. This is why we failed. This is why you must not. Those 20 to 30, they are the architects, the carriers, the ones whose energiometry aligns with what is coming. If you are reading this, if you are hearing this, you are either one of them or standing beside one of them. Do not underestimate what that means. The window is closing. Assimilation is not a battle. It is a gradual forgetting. You imagine conquest as fire falling from the sky. This is not how it happens. Conquest begins with confusion, then division, then numbness, then the loss of a species' ability to care. And then, quietly, the lights go out in the collective mind when a civilization forgets what it is. Others step in and decide for it. This is how we fell, not in fire, not in destruction, in apathy. You are already far closer than you think. This is the last timeline with choice. Your era, this moment, is the final fork where survival is still possible. Once the next wave of novelty hits, your species will fracture. Some will awaken, some will resist. Most will not notice. The danger is not the war itself. It is entering the war unprepared, without meaning, without unity, without an internal model strong enough to protect your consciousness. Weapons will not save you. Awareness will. Connection will. Understanding with realization will. Those who practice hypertech will shape the future. Those who don't will be shaped by its harmony. What you do next determines everything. If you ignore this message, you repeat our collapse. If you awaken even a small fraction of your world, you change the outcome. You change it, not me. You have always had the power, force, and energy. You do not need millions. You need enough. Enough to tilt the scale. Enough to anchor the timeline. Enough to build a reality humans can go beyond survival and into creativity. 20 to 30 citizens is the beginning, not the end, but only if you act now, because the clock is not ticking. The clock is already almost done. To the people of the past, remember this. It is not the future you must fear. It is the version of yourself that refuses to evolve. If you can realize this message, you are one of the few. If you cannot, you are not meant to, yet. This warning has been delivered for the future generations in all realms and worlds across the living universe. What you do with it determines whether humanity continues or becomes a forgotten footnote in someone else's history. This transmission ends here, but the threat does not. If you felt a tremor in your mind or a tightening in your breath, that was not fear, that was recognition. You have now seen the fracture that shaped the future we lost. A truth buried under centuries has resurfaced in our timeline, and knowing it binds you to responsibility. Do not look for saviors. None are coming. What comes next is choice, yours and yours alone. If ever a handful of you awaken, your cycle can diverge. If you ignore this warning, you will repeat our collapse down to the final echo. I am the Time Ambassador, last witness of humanity's final breath. This message is not hope, it is the threshold. Cross it wisely.